What's up, YouTube?
Too excitable, too excitable.
The thing is, so Ryan from BRS.
Yeah,
Obviously, he used to say that, and he stopped saying it for ages, but he's now started saying it again.
So people think that he's copying you.
No. So I'm gonna have to, he started using it. He's obviously got dibs on it, so I'm gonna have to stop using it. So God, I don't want to get sued.
That was the last time, then, was it?
No, I'm going to keep doing it because I like it. But yes, hello everybody. Welcome to the Prestige Reef Dork show. New format. Ooh. So Ryan didn't know what the new format was until about 10 minutes ago. So
yeah, and people kept messaging me saying, "What's the new format?" And I had no idea.
Brilliant. So the new format. For ages, I've been wanting to have this. So it's not just a live stream where we just sit and talk. It's it's its own show. So there are features and there are set things that we talk about all the time, so there's a bit more structure to it, a bit more profesh.
We're very professional people, aren't we?
Correct, we are very much so. And because I'm now only doing one video a fortnight, I've got so much more thinking time, so I'm able to do things like this and work it out. So we have got a number of features. There's a couple of features. Go on. You're about
I had to hold myself back from saying lazy when you were.
Yeah.
Said. But it was more irony really than anything else.
Indeed. So there's a couple of features that we won't run this week, but we will run next week and from here on. But everything that we're going to do today is going to be basically this is how it's going to be from here on, hopefully. So first off then, Ryan, tell me, how have you been? How's your week in reefing? What have you been up to this last week?
It's been a pretty big week in reefing for me this week. So at the start of the week, I got a new box of corals for the coral farm from Indonesia. That was exciting. I always love getting new boxes.
What you got?
Loads of things. I got a massive Goniapora that's like this big. You might have seen the picture on Instagram. So that was one of the bigger pieces, like metallic red. I got a really interesting green and purple Lobophilia and a few Symphilias and things like that. So then none of them are on the website yet, but because I like to rest things for at least a week until they go up. And so the Gonia will be cut up because it's too big for one person.
Yeah. Okay.
Are you looking for my picture on my Instagram?
I've just found it. Yeah, so I did see that.
Well, it's not even open in that picture.
No, it's a bit receded. Yeah, it's a bit like.
It's that picture was taken at like 9 in the morning and the lights turn at 8:30.
Yeah, you can see.
So,
very nice, but that's a big old. Yeah, you can see the frag plug holes there. You can see how big it is.
It's the biggest Gonia I've ever had, basically. But it's a really, really nice bright red metallic one. So I will be fragging that this week.
Do you know, so I tend to avoid red or green corals because just they're everywhere. All corals are red and green, basically.
Yeah, but this is like this is a special one.
Exactly, but every now and then there's a really nice red or a really nice green, like a Seriatopora caliendrum, the Aussie Hystrix. That's a really nice green, like a really bright one. And I've got a really nice red Gonny as well. I don't know if it's like that, but yeah, good stuff.
Well, so that was with the coral farm, and then there has been a big, like, you know how it's been really, really slow with the angelfish tank,
really
incredibly slow. There has been a massive jump forward with the angelfish tank because I now have 2 more angelfish. I went fish shopping on Friday, and there are now. I have got a video which go up later today. I will just tell you now what I got. I got a blue face angel, and I got a majestic angel, and I got a Starkey damsel, which is there. Starkey damsels are legendary. They are the best damsel you can get. If you ever get a chance to get, pardon, sorry,
the damsel's quite big, isn't he?
It is a big damsel, but not just that. This is so bright. You know how you can see, like you say about the jack-o'-lantern, you can see from a long way away. When you see the Starkey damsel, it's not like just one of those normal half blue and half yellow ones. This is a really bright fish. They are a lot more expensive than most damsels, but they're also less aggressive. So that's what I've done with the angelfish tank.
I was a bit underwhelmed when you showed me that, but I feel like in the flesh he might be pretty awesome. So when that's just under kitchen lights, isn't it? I don't know. Soon.
There is one other thing. I don't know how much time I've got here, but there's one other thing which I have been doing, which is also a little bit of an experiment, which no one knows about except you, and maybe a couple other people. And that is that I have. So I've had a clownfish for 12 years, which has been by herself for a very long time.
Yeah.
She is a percular clownfish, and I have decided to try to pair her up with a tiny metallic red maroon clownfish. Now, this is possible, but it's quite unusual. So, Ocellaris and percular clownfish are very similar. They're the same subspecies. Am I boring you?
Very hard. No. Very hard to see the difference, isn't it?
Yeah, well, they're actually the same subspecies if you look at the scientific name of them. Whereas maroon clownfish are completely different subspecies of clownfish, so they're not even remotely the same. They look similar. It will only work if the male is very submissive and the female is massive. So the female is massive and the male is very submissive at the moment because she will stop him from growing. If he grows too big, he'll turn into a female and then they'll fight.
Right. Okay.
And maroons are much bigger than perculars and ocellaris.
So they're normally they've got a reputation for being aggressive, right? I mean,
yes, yeah.
Clownfish can be aggressive anyway, but maroons can be nasty, right? They can be.
Yes, that's correct.
Are they the ones who like just churn up sand everywhere? They do that when they're mating. And
someone else said that to me. I haven't seen that before. I do have a pair of maroons in one of the other tanks, and they're actually fine. But the fact that he's the male, I think, will stop him from being aggressive. If it was a big female, they're a nightmare.
Yeah, okay. All right, so he might be okay. But no, I've seen them. They move sand like something like nobody's business. They're bury corals and stuff.
This isn't you'll be able to see it in my video. This isn't the average maroon that you see. This is like a really metallic red. It's almost like the same red color as that Gonny. Okay. So, because you get different colored maroons, they're not all the same color. So they vary in like.
Are they like? Are they kind of? They've got yellow stripes or something? Is that?
There is a yellow striped maroon clownfish, and there's also just a white striped maroon clownfish. But these ones are really.
Yeah. I can see.
These are like really metallic red. But as I said, you'll see in the video. I am going to upload it just after this. So,
are these going in the water box?
Yes, the female's definitely going in. If it works, I might put them both in. But the only thing I will say, now that I've done it, and so far they've been in there for a few days and they're completely fine, they look like a really odd couple.
Yeah, I've never liked mixing clowns.
So I do have I've also got an orange storm clownfish as well. That one's actually not in the video, but I got an orange storm clownfish, which I've got as a backup basically if she didn't like the red, which I will probably end up swapping out and putting the orange storm in, because although it appears to be working 3 days later, I just think they look odd.
Yeah, okay.
So I want to make it look natural and nice, and rather than just to see if it's possible, if you see what I mean.
I've seen like people put like orange clowns with black clowns before, and I think it looks a bit weird. And even mixing like fancy clowns, different types of. I know what you're going to say. Mixing different kinds of fancy.
I wasn't going to say anything. Obviously, what I was going to say is, if you think that looks weird, because I have an orange clown and a black clown, I think they're fine together. If you think that looks weird, seeing my other clown and the little maroon clownfish, they look so odd. So I'm not sure I actually like them that much.
What's that film with Arnold Schwarzenegger and Danny DeVito? You seen that? Twins?
No, I haven't seen it.
No. Okay, so they're twins, but one's massive and one's little. Anyway, it's like
that. they just look like a really odd pair, and I just thought it's the coloration of them. It's not the size; it's the coloration that I don't like.
Right.
I don't think he compliments her or she compliments him. Yeah. So they probably will be moved. There was one fish which was unexpected as a that ended up being a pain in the ass, and now that I know is obvious. I've got a 6-line wrasse in there with them, so I was so focused and worried on how the female was going to react. I didn't think about the 6-line, and the 6-line was a pain in the ass. I had to get it out.
I'm sure you've said before that your 6-line's always been fine. Is that right?
They've all been the last fish that's been added to the tank, pretty much. So they never show aggression to anything else, and they're all in with other big wrasse. Whereas this was the first time I added actually both of those clowns to 2 different tanks, and both 6-lines went for them. So so it made me rethink.
Yeah, 6-line was one of the fish that when I first started, I was like, I've got to have one of those. And then you research it and you're like, oh, maybe not. Just evil.
Yeah. I think they're fine as long as they're like kept in check by everything else in the tank, and I mean everything else.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. I just don't like it. I don't like any aggression at all. So I'm not having it.
The problem with messing around in that tank, sort of catching fish and adding fish to it, the king eye jumps. It is
Yeah,
absolutely.
okay.
I don't know why that fish is a jumper, and every time I put the net in or anything, it tries to jump out the tank.
Yeah,
So,
okay.
so that's why I need to get a proper net, like a proper cover made for the water box.
Are you waiting for the mesh before you put the king in?
Oh, absolutely, yes.
Yeah, yeah.
But
As in, is that the one thing you're waiting for, or are you waiting for more?
I need to order one first. So I know that obviously the person did one on the coral farm. I don't know if there are other brands that do them.
There's a thing on Facebook called Reef Tops. The tank
someone
that over
else
my shoulder is Reef Tops.
Someone else recommended them to me. I am
Very similar to London Aquatic.
Oh, they're
Design,
basically the same, are they?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, do you know what I would actually like? And I'm not sure if this is a bad idea. I'd like a glass one, because it's like I just like plastic.
Yeah.
Or a nice glass one.
Do you mean like complete glass covering the whole thing, or glass around the edge with? Oh, yeah,
with the mesh in the middle. Just because
would
I
that
think
exist?
I don't know, as far as I know. I just think glass would look fancier than acrylic.
Sure.
And that's obviously such a nice tank that I would rather. There's nothing wrong with the acrylic ones. I've got them on all the coral trays.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean, don't you?
But they sag slightly under their own weight, with glass wouldn't. I don't know how you'd attach the glass to the mesh though, so I don't know if that's possible.
That's true, actually. Yeah, I didn't think about that. This is why I come to you with my ideas, so people don't call me an idiot.
I can tell you how rubbish they are.
So no one realizes how I'm an idiot.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not like there's anyone watching this, is there?
Say it quietly, and no one will notice.
But,
yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So that's coming soon. Interesting.
Yeah, well, obviously I just need to. And the other thing is, so I've actually added the majestic and the blue face together, and you won't see it in the video. So this is like a little insight. They are completely fine together. I am more shocked than you could possibly imagine that these two fish are basically friends.
Yeah, you're expecting aggression. Yeah.
Yes. So I've had a cream angel previously, and that was one of the most aggressive fish I've ever owned. So I was expecting a similar level of aggression from these two.
Right.
And because it just wasn't. It just wasn't. And the reason I didn't put the king eye in at the same time as those two was because the king eye is quite it's quite a chunky fish. It's slightly bigger. But also, so adding it later, it's not going to get attacked by them. But also the king eye is quite a lot more expensive. And remember, this is like this is day one of the tank, basically, because I used a bottle of bacteria.
Yeah.
So
if there's an ammonia spike and everything dies, you'd rather not lose the king eye.
I don't think that there will be.
No, well, you wouldn't have put the fish in if you thought there was a real risk, would you? So,
yeah.
But you just never know, do you? Sometimes you can do everything right, and yet it doesn't work out, and you get an ammonia spike or whatever. So.
Yeah, of course. So anyway, what have you done in your week of reefing? Because I've done 13 minutes of talking now.
I know, yeah. So I've changed my lights again.
Oh, how very unusual for you.
I know. Now, actually, so on my main tank, I changed them last week, and I think most people know about that anyway. There's a video coming. It's taking a long time to work, but that will come in the next couple of weeks. But I've changed my lights on my Fujifilm, which you can see over my shoulder.
At what point do we need an intervention with you, because it's becoming a problem?
I've told you this is who I am. All right, so I've just accepted it.
That's what you identify as, a man who changes the lights.
Exactly. That's just part of my personality. But do you know what? So I was thinking the other day. I'm thinking about doing on the Reef Dork Extra channel. I'm going to do at some point a YouTube studio tour. It'll be a bit niche, but some people will like watching it. And I was thinking about what will I say? Yeah, no, you won't. I was thinking, what would I say? I was like, I'll talk about the lights. And I started looking around the room, and I was like, how many different lights have I got? I've got like 1 million different LEDs. I think I've just got like an LED fetish generally. Yeah, so not just fish tanks, just everything. I've changed
no one's surprised. You do come across as a bit of a weirdo. So.
Exactly. Thank you. Yeah, cheers. But anyway, so I've changed that light on the Fujifilm Evo. I did have an AI Prime, which was fine, but the spread isn't very good on that tank. It's the wrong. The tank is the wrong shape.
Yeah.
And so there are lots of shaded bits, and also it's got a fan that comes on, The fan doesn't come on very often, and when it does, it's actually pretty quiet. But this is my my home office and my YouTube studio, so I'm really sensitive to any noise. So every time that came on, I was like, oh, for God's sake.
Is it humid, that room?
No, it isn't actually, weirdly. I have the window
it's quite a small room. It's got one reasonable sized tank in it, and obviously
it's got 200 litres of water in it. Saltwater.
So I just wondered, because I've noticed that there's definitely a change in humidity in the house, the entire house, since I've put the water box in and heated the water.
It's quite a well ventilated house as well, yours, isn't it?
No, it is. I don't know. It's one of those ones where it's really, really well insulated.
Well insulated, maybe is the word I'm looking for. So maybe that's the opposite of what you need.
So I might end up putting a fan in through the wall, just a ventilation fan, just to try to mitigate that. I don't want to dehumidify because then that just sucks out more water from the tank. It doesn't actually help.
They're expensive as well. They use a lot of electricity, and you've got to empty them all the time. Or well, I guess you could. But anyway, a ventilation fan sounds like a good idea. But my house never does, and this room never does either. But the AI blade, so I bought that. I bought it with my own money.
Wow.
Do I get points for that?
Yes, because people will trust you because you bought it. So
but so I'll do a review at some point. But I like it. For early impressions, I really like it, and it just suits that tank because it's the same dimension.
Review
done. Job done. It's good. Go and buy one. But it's the same size. The app isn't very good though, and so setting up was just like I'm trying to set it up the way I want it, and I couldn't figure out how to do it, so I gave up and left it.
That's the AI app, isn't it?
Yeah, Mobius.
Oh, it was Mobius. See, I've never used an AI product on Mobius.
Yeah,
I actually like Mobius.
I generally don't mind it. It's okay. But for setting up lights, I just find it like it's because you can only it's Bluetooth, so you can only do it on your phone. You can't do it on a PC, so it's really fiddly. Yeah, and you've got like if you tap at the screen in the wrong place, you adjust the wrong setting and that, and it was just like So
imagine setting up the 32 Radeons in the Coral Farm as well as the 5 Vectra L1s, and I think I can't even tell you how many MP40s there are.
Did you do that with a Reef Link?
No, I did that all with I did it all on Mobius. Yeah, and I still remember I had them all like on the floor and across the whole living room, so that they were in a certain order, so I didn't get it wrong. But yeah, so trust me, I'm well versed in setting things up on Mobius.
Yeah, a million. Yeah, that's a pain in the backside. But no, but that's it. So my week has involved lights basically, which is not surprising to most people, I would guess. But
that's all right. You've still got another 10 minutes of talking to Phil. If we're going to be at the same level.
I'm succinct, so I can just keep it to the point. So I'm done.
Oh, I see. Oh, I just rambled, did I?
Well, you had more to say. To be fair, all I've done is look at my lights.
I was looking for a Harlequin shrimp. That's what I was looking for this week, but to finally eradicate that disease you gave me. But
the free cleanup crew I gave you.
I have not been able to find it one. So
okay.
But anyway, sorry.
They're cool. I like them, to be fair. Have you got any fish that might eat them?
No.
A big fat chunky wrasse or anything? No.
The Melanaris wrasse would be the biggest wrasse, but
I don't. They're bullies and ugly.
No, Melanaris wrasse are awesome. They're like one of the best fish you can get.
All right. Well, there we go. So that's what I've been up to. And just one comment I want to put out: 666 lion wrasse, like that as a nickname.
Yeah, tell me about it.
Number of the beast. But yeah, there we go. All right. So fine. So that's what we've been up to. Second order of business on the new format is member questions.
Bring them on.
And the first one, I know. Well, the first one is gonna it's gonna enrage some people, absolutely enrage.
Come on, I look forward to it. Yeah, if I'm gonna be enraged.
Oh no, we're okay. I misread it.
Okay, read what you thought it said.
I thought he was asking if he could put a tang in a Fluval Evo
anywhere
in a 50-litre tank, but he's not. He's saying he's setting up a 300-litre. This is from Goza G. He's setting up a 300-litre tank after his first Fluval Evo.
Yeah.
Opinions differ on suitability of this tank for a bristletooth tank. Do you guys think a single bristletooth is suitable for with some other smaller reef-safe fish? If not, do you have any suggestions for an alternative? 100%. I would not hesitate for a second putting a Tummy tang, for example, in a Reefer 300 XL.
I'd put a yellow tang in there or a Scopus tang. I wouldn't worry at all about that.
You'd have to move that sort of. You'd have to move them on at some point, especially the Zebrasomas maybe. But you're talking at least a couple of years, more realistically, maybe 3 or 4 years, maybe even longer.
So this conversation might still enrage people. The fact that we said yes.
I think most people are okay with that. I don't think
you should go for a unicorn tang. That's the best one you can get in a 300 litre.
Are they like 2 feet long?
Yeah, they're the massive ones. Yeah.
Yeah, they're a bit ugly.
That was sarcasm, just in case anyone didn't understand. Don't come after me with your like tridents or pitchforks.
Exactly. Yeah. But there you go. So goes a G. Go for it. Get a nice little tummy or a coal tang maybe. Goldie 39, and this is specifically for you, Ryan.
Oh yeah.
He says, I've just picked up my first 2 clownfish from the Ocean Project this afternoon, and I've seen their stunning new black tang. My question is, when is Ryan gonna man up and buy it?
I don't actually know how much it is. I've heard that there's a couple floating around. In fact, I know of 3 that are floating around at the moment. They're maybe I've got an idea of a black tang in mind at the moment. I mean, I'm working. There's a plan in progress for one. Let's put it that way. So it's not the one from the Ocean Project, but after I found out that there were a few floating around, I put my feelers out to go.
Interesting.
Where can I? But that's top secret, basically.
Okay, because I said to Sean that you're too tight to buy from a shop because you become accustomed to buying from tank breakdowns.
Yeah.
So you get I've seen a couple of times you've just taken a load of fish off someone.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Of
course.
Shut down their tank.
Yeah. Then because then you sell all the corals and then the fish are basically free.
Yeah. But to be fair, a black tang is no joke. They're a pricey old beast, aren't they? So.
Well, they used to be. I now regret this. I saw one. There was a shop it was called Cambridge Coral Tech. It was an amazing shop at the time. I only went in there like probably twice, and it was £500, and they had 8 of them. And it's like those times have gone now. When there was a £500 fish, there was a black tang. Yeah. But I don't think they'll be going back anytime soon. Having said that, Hawaii they are one of the fish which is from Hawaii, which is on the list of fish which should be coming back.
Okay. So,
there has been. I don't know if I mentioned this before. There has been an appeal.
Yeah.
Which is why they've not started coming. But yeah, so. But you are right. Going back to your question, you are right. I am too tight to buy from a shop, basically.
£2,500, by the way.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I know that's there was one at Maidenhead. Someone said, and I don't know how much the one at Maidenhead was, if it was the same price. But
okay, interesting. Yeah, Maidenhead Fair Oak, which is Southampton. Don't know.
It's when you can't get fish like that very often, people can charge whatever they want, and someone will buy it. It's as simple as that. So
yeah,
I
don't like. No, I'm the same. I don't like feeling like I'm paying over the odds.
Yeah,
and £2,500 for a tang.
It might not be paying over the odds for that type. If you see,
I'm not saying it's overpriced. I'm just saying £2,500 for a tang.
When you come from like the era when they were £500, it hurts basically.
This is very true.
They're now that much.
Indeed.
But we'll see. As I said, you never know. There might be one in my future. So
interesting. And I'm just going to
I've got credit with a fish shop, haven't I? So you never know.
Okay.
They just need to be sourced, basically, because I don't mind paying for things like where I give coral to a shop and they give me a fish, because it's like guilt-free spending.
Completely, it's just a token, isn't it? Like monopoly money. I love it. I love selling corals.
But the day that £2,400 comes out of my bank account for a black tang is not anytime soon, as far as I know.
It is a cold day in hell. Yeah,
until you see me next week, and I'm like,
yeah, exactly.
I couldn't resist.
Yeah. And a quick question from Woody's Gamer Tag. Have you tried? Oh, thanks for the super chat, by the way. Have you tried to keep a Moorish idle yet? If not, no balls. I have no balls in that case.
I've never been interested in them. I just never wanted one. I was partly considering one for this tank, because as you say, in for a penny, in for a pound. Might as well just put anything in there and just see what chaos ensues. But that's the other thing. There was actually a couple of other angelfish that I considered as well.
Okay.
A blue line and one of those shit gold flake angels. You know those awful, awful
You
gold
bastard.
flakes.
Yeah.
You know the gold flake that you put up in the angelfish round, which I absolutely slaughtered you with.
The one that you said you was awful.
I said it was awful, and I would never get. When I saw it, I was like, "This is the most beautiful fish I've ever seen."
That's so nice. I'll be genuinely happy if you get them. I think they're so cool, so bright,
No,
unusual.
I thought about it, but I like the ones I've got. I'm happy with the majestic and blue face. So
yeah, you've gone. Is that likely to be the end? Because you were talking at the start of having one angel, and now you've got 3 already.
I am definitely getting one more, which is a regal angel. So
okay. At
I'm
least 4. Interesting.
Yes, but I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, there's going to be more.
each angel that I add becomes more and more of a problem, basically, because if you have one and it only eats acans but nothing else, then you're fine. Just don't put acans in there. If you have 5 angels and one eats acans, one eats trachyphilias, one eats torches, it's like each fish significantly increases the risk. So what is likely to happen is I'll put a load of angels in there, see how they get on, and then
fish them all out when they start eating everything.
And then I might take them out one at a time if I need to or whatever. But at the moment, I am literally in love with these fish. I love them so much because you know this. I've spoken to you about this before. When you are when this is your full-time job, any hobby turns into a full-time business, you lose a little bit of your enjoyment for it. For example, you might go to a fish shop at the weekend, whereas I don't go to fish shops anymore because I have no need to go to fish shops because I can get all the coral I could ever want.
Yeah, it's funny. I go. That's part of what I enjoy. I go to Reefkeeper Moss End every weekend, sometimes twice, and I go to other places from time to time, and I like that. But yeah,
and you chat with other people that keep fish, and you chat with the owner, and it's a nice thing to do. Now, I do go to. There is one fish shop I do go to, but I mainly go for a chat, which is what fish shops hate. So if you're the person who's going to fish shops for a chat, stop doing it.
Yeah, I know. So I always talk to a couple of people at Reefkeeper Moss End. I always feel bad, especially if it's busy.
Yeah.
I'm like,
oh, you're one of those people, are you?
Yeah, and there's like a queue behind me, and I'm like, it's okay. I'm famous.
Oh well, I'm sure they understand.
No, I feel bad about that, but anyway, we've had a few new members join, by the way, which is great. So we've had the Frugal Reefer, we've had Charles Bettany and PJ Dubb. Welcome along, everybody, and you can ask questions.
Charles is the person who gave me the rock. I'm pretty sure he gave you a super chat last week. I'm pretty sure that's Charles.
Happy days.
I'm not very good with names, but
okay.
I saw someone just said they currently have 2 angels, a regal and majestic, and they haven't regretted it. It's interesting.
So far.
The blue face is the risky one. Oh, sorry.
Okay. And Luke Hargreaves asks, how do you become a member? So below, if you turn your phone portrait mode, there's a join button. You press that and you join. It costs $1.99 a month, I think. And what you get, so we do member questions. We're going to do member questions at the start of this. So that's the best way to get questions answered. But it's not the only way.
Yeah.
I'm not just got a paywall up for questions, so it's all right. Anyway, the final question. This is from Glenn Anderson. I think he's asked before. I seem to remember his name. So he says, "Forgive me if I sound naive. My first attempt at this. No worries with that. Don't worry at all. That's everyone's first attempt at some point. I wish to run a successful marine aquarium. Cool. I don't own a tank of any sort currently, and I've never kept marine fish. I'm disabled, wheelchair bound, and would like to use any gadgets that will make the tank easier to complete. Problem could be the running costs. How much to run such kit, please?" That's a tough one. I've never looked at equipment from that with that lens on, if you see what I mean.
Yeah.
The one thing that I think immediately is height of the tank.
That's what I was thinking as well.
Yeah, because
you don't want a tank with a high stand.
You want a really low tank.
If anything, you actually just want to just the glass tank, and then you can put it on whatever stand you want. If you think about it,
yeah.
And it depends on if you're right. One of those fluorals is a great starting tank for someone. Because you mentioned about the running costs. Then I'm assuming it's not that expensive to run if you don't change your lights every week.
I know, yeah.
But one of those tanks would be a good choice as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, equipment. I don't think there's much equipment that would help him in his position. There's a Reflow Auto water changer that makes water changes a bit easier, but
you could have like an automatic dosing system where even on a tank like that, where you just take out 1 liter per day and put a new liter in.
That's not a bad idea, actually. Yeah, and also
someone's still gonna have to mix up the water. So
you've just got a GHL Maxi Dose 2.
Correct. Yes, 2 of them
for that purpose.
For that purpose, because I am the ultimate lazy reefer.
So there you go. So they're about 400 quid. A Neptune DOS will do the same thing, I think. And they're actually, that I think they're a bit more because you've got to buy the Neptune brain,
Apex.
Whatever it's called, Apex. That's difficult. Woody's Gamer Tag has some suggestions. He says ATO refill from RODI. Oh, that's a good idea. So it automatically fills up your auto top off from your RODI filter. Auto water changes the gripper for each in tank. Those little grippy, like springy loaded grippy things. Good idea. But yeah, I think so. And DD tank, Jason Rice says DD Pro tanks are quite a tool. I don't think you'd want any normal, like you wouldn't want a Red Sea Reefer or a water box that comes with a stand because they're all tool. So you'd want a tank like the Fluval Evo or just the glass box, as you say. Water box do a couple of standalone, just a 25-gallon tank or whatever. So that would be the key thing for me. So, all right. So there we go. And that is the final member question. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to start a Q&A. So we're going to do, next segment is the news. But I'm going to start a Q&A. So this is what I did a quick live stream for yesterday to test how this works. So I've now started a Q&A, which should appear at the top of the live chat. So if you've got any questions, post them in there. Just questions only in there. No need to chat in there. Just questions. And we'll pull out 5 questions and we'll answer those 5 questions.
Because some people have been putting them in the chat and we've missed them, don't we?
Exactly. And this is the thing. And this is the beauty of this Q&A thing, is that it consolidates everything into questions, because there's like 400 messages, 10% of which are questions in the chat, and I miss them. So that's the point of this. So if you've got questions, click on the little Q&A thing, ask them there, and we'll come on to them in a second. But next up, we have news, and I have good news in that we have a jingle for the news.
I didn't think that you could. I didn't think you could make me cringe more than the intro, which you and everyone else knows that I hate and did not agree to.
Oops, I put it on a loop.
Oh no! But it just you seem to keep reaching new lows each stream. And one of the streams, I put your face on 2 naked women. So if we're reaching new lows, it's like a pretty low. It's a pretty low bar.
But yeah, there we. So everyone doesn't like a jingle, for heaven's sake. However, right, so this is the news section, and what I did was I made the mistake of not clicking on getting the page ready before I clicked on this live stream.
People like them when we're not professional.
Oh, well, I wouldn't say I'm professional, because this is a very professional setup, but what I'm doing is I'm filling whilst I'm finding it. And this is when like you're watching proper news, the producer will say, Dave, you need to fill for a second, and they'll do this. And it's natural. And because I've now done that and I've got it ready.
Oh, this feels very natural, by the way.
Exactly. And no one spotted it because it's so profesh. So, right, news. First up, Vibrant update.
Oh, this is interesting. Yeah, I remember.
Not really. This is kind of it's an update, no update. But there's a thread on Reef to Reef that was started to talk about this, and that's where all of the scientific experiments went up there. So for those of you who don't know, there's a product called Vibrant Aquarium Cleaner. Someone did a load of tests, and it says it's just got bacteria and vinegar in it or something like that. But someone did a load of tests and they found out that it's actually a pesticide, or they alleged it was a pesticide, an algicide, sorry, not a pesticide.
Who was that person?
A guy called Taricha. I don't know who he is, but Randy Holmes Farley, who's like a reefing chemist, proper scientist, he basically, I don't know if he peer reviewed all the checks, but he looked at it and said, this is legit.
No, it wasn't that. It was just that, like, when I'm sitting at home thinking, what can I do? I put the TV on and watch something interesting. I don't look at a bottle of Vibrant and go, is that advertising real?
But supposedly, it's people have been speculating that in the past, and it's the sort of thing that if you're into that, I can imagine it would scratch something, and you'd be like, I need to check into that. So he started doing tests and he found out that it's basically the same as API algae fix, which is an algicide, and it says it's just bacteria, not an algicide. And so
they changed the marketing.
Well, no, this is so it's all the same. Nothing's changed. I don't know if it's this. You can still buy it, but I don't know if it's just old stock or whatever.
Yeah.
But the update on this is, and this is all allegations. Nothing's actually been proven as such. I mean, it's pretty strong allegations. But the algae fix, sorry, not algae fix. Underwater Creatures, the company behind Vibrant, haven't ever responded. And they said they would do, and they still haven't. But the update is that there was an EPA, Environmental Protection Agency in America, EPA inspection in March last year. So it's the 1 year anniversary has now passed since that. And if the EPA goes in and does an inspection, that's a problem. There's something going on there. So they're obviously concerned. After that inspection, UWC, the company behind Vibrant, became a registered pesticide producer. That was on the 19th of May last year.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So that tells you, well, I don't know what it tells you, but you can read between the lines there. And the update is we've had UWC promised they'd provide a response. We're now a year on from when all of that kicked off. In fact, it was before that. It was more than a year ago. A year on from the inspection, still nothing. And Randy Holmes finally just updated the thread on Reef to Reef to say, look, it's been a year. I think he was just, I took that as expressing disappointment. Maybe I'm reading between the lines there, but that's what I took. That's
Does
what
it bother you?
Not really. I'm bored. I'm over it now. Not bored. I'm over it now. Yeah. But it's the thing is, it didn't really bother me because I never used it. It's not the kind of product I like to use. I don't like to pour stuff in to deal with a problem. Yeah. So I never would have used it anyway. But if there were loads of people who'd used it, maybe they'd used it incorrectly, maybe they'd used it correctly, whatever, I don't know. But it had killed corals. Yeah. And if that was me, I'd have been so pissed off because it's one thing. If they tell you, look, this is an algicide and so you need to be careful with it, then you buy it and use it knowing the risks. But if they don't tell you that and they tell you it's bacteria, you'd look back at it and say, if I'd have bloody known that, I never would have done it. So those people I feel bad for. And there were lots of people. Well, it worked for lots of people as well, by the way.
I have used it myself.
Okay, did it work?
Ages ago in my 1,000-litre tank. And I don't remember any noticeable effects, but I also don't remember it working either. Probably you have to use enough of it to kill coral for it to work, which is why it didn't work for me.
Well, so the BRS did a video about it long before this all came out, and they showed using it, and they did a load of tests, and it wasn't that effective. So I think some people have more luck with it than others. But anyway,
I prefer natural predators for any issue. There's only one that is more difficult to get rid of, but as far as I'm concerned, pretty much every issue that we come across in our tank has some sort of natural predator which will deal 100%. With it, which is easily available.
Exactly. It's normally sort your water parameters out, physically remove as much of the whatever it is you can, and put a predator in.
Yes,
that's the best way to deal with.
Because there are tanks. Most people use Vibrant for bubble algae, I think, and there are tanks which eat bubble algae. Yeah. So, in fact, quite a lot. Fox faces. My purple tang eats it. My powder blue tang eats it. They actually all taught each other to eat it. So they definitely learn from each other. And then never had an issue with it again. So
yeah, there are some things like I think Flux RX has a good reputation as not being like a potion that you shouldn't use. And that's that. So if you had like bryopsis, there are some that's a pain to get rid of. So there are sometimes I would use something like that, but generally it's not my cup of tea. But, anyway, so that's the first piece of news. A 1 year update and still nothing. The second piece of news is you must remember 52 weeks of reefing from BRS TV.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Like I was joining the hobby roughly when that came out, maybe a little bit after I joined the hobby that came out. Yeah. They're now doing 52 weeks of reefing season 2, which they announced a little while ago. Yeah. Ryan talked about it on a live stream the other day. It's coming in the next couple of months.
Because they're also closing down the 160, aren't they? So
BRS 160, indeed. Yeah, which was the tank they built based on that series. So yeah.
Yeah.
Like a legendary tank.
So the old one's going, they put a new one in.
Yeah. And I think they're doing 4 tanks. I think they said, including a nano tank.
It'll be very interesting to see the difference between, because they're essentially going to probably be making very similar videos, because like adding fish, adding coral, but there's a lot has changed since then.
Yeah,
you can
indeed.
see what I mean. So it'll be interesting to see what the updated information is.
I think they'll change quite a lot, but they'll cover a lot of the same subjects, obviously. But yeah, I think I'm really looking forward to it. I think because Ryan's grown a lot as a reef keeper, which might sound patronizing coming from me. I don't mean it that way. I mean it as a compliment. He's grown a lot, and he's immersed himself in the hobby completely. So he's got some stuff to share. He's got some stories to tell that I'm looking forward to. I'm glad that they're doing a nano tank. I think that's cool, because loads of people have nano tanks, and they're going to do monthly live updates on all 4 of the tanks. So you don't just have to wait 6 months to see whilst they mess around telling you about dosing and calculus and that sort of stuff. The only thing I didn't like was they said they're not going to do a budget build. What they're going to do is that previously they did like money no object builds with really expensive kit. This time they're going to go just like good equipment, stuff that is not, they're avoiding the buy cheap buy twice mantra. So they're just getting good equipment that's kind of it's affordable, but it's still pretty expensive. And I would have really liked it if they'd have done a budget build, even if it was, I know it's a shop and they've got to sell stuff, but secondhand stuff would have been really cool, because you could do it a lot cheaper.
I have thought about going down that route myself, but the only, if I'm going to have a tank in my house, it's going to be the one display tank I have in my house.
Yeah.
So I wanted it to be a nice brand new tank rather than...
I'm the same, yeah.
But my very first system was a 400-liter tank, which was secondhand. All my lights were secondhand. All of my equipment, everything was secondhand at first for years. I only got my first brand new tank, I think 2 years ago. 15 years.
That's crazy. Wow. Bloody hell. No. Oh yeah, the water box. Yeah.
No, it was the Red Sea one.
Sorry, the Red Sea Reefer is what I meant. The 425. Yeah,
that was the first brand new tank I ever had.
That's crazy.
And the only reason I didn't like it was because it was too small. Whereas I absolutely love
6 foot.
I love 6 foot tanks. It's just as simple as that. So
yeah,
I like it when you can't put your arm in and touch the bottom, and you can't reach the back wall.
yeah.
Can I put the light on quick? Because go for it. When we started, so it's getting darker.
But I did think it was just a shame that they didn't do a budget build. I thought they could have done that. With secondhand stuff, because you can do it, because the point they were making is you don't want to buy crap equipment and do a half job, and I get that, but you can buy secondhand equipment. But I guess because they're a shop, maybe that's not the way to go.
Plus, if they hang out near your house and they need some lights secondhand, you can get loads of stuff, like loads of lights secondhand, can't you?
Exactly. I upgrade it every week. So there you go. But 52 weeks of reefing is coming in the next couple of months, and I can't wait. I think it's going to be really good. So there we go. Bulk Reef Supply coming at you. And finally, there's a new product, Ryan. I know you bloody love products.
I love products.
Can't get enough of it, can you?
Apparently not.
Do you know what I'm going to say? What product it's going to be?
To be honest, I haven't looked at any reef builds or anything recently, so I don't know.
AI Nero 7. Bosh.
I'm sure we covered something like this before when
this was announced before. Well, it was leaked before. But it's now released. You can buy it in the shop. I saw one in a shop today. Yes.
What are the other AI Neros?
A 3 and a 5 little ones.
Yeah, that's what I remember. That's what it was, because you said they're bringing one out, and what one is it? And I said it was a 4 because it was between the two of them. So
right, yeah.
That was when we were talking about new equipment or something ages ago. So it's out, is it?
It is. It's out now. You can buy it in the shops. It's 300 quid. It's quite expensive. And so the thing with these are, so that I find I have a 3 and 4 5s, and I find they're not very powerful. And they get a little bit noisy if you turn them up above 50%, although they're in my quiet room, so I don't tolerate noise, and in any other tank they'd be fine.
Yeah.
But I find they're not that powerful. So I wonder how powerful the 7 will be. It's 4,000 gallons per hour, which is just shy of an MP40 on paper. But I wouldn't mind betting it won't be as powerful as an MP40, anywhere near, actually. Well, not anywhere near, but I think it'll be noticeably less powerful.
What's the price comparison compared to an MP40?
So they're 300 and the MP40 is 400, which is so expensive. And I think that's the right price difference, because the MP40 is just, it's the king. But 400 quid's a lot of cash. I'd still buy one, but it's expensive. So a cheaper option is good. The only thing is there's a Jekod SLW30, I think, that is the same. It looks exactly the same as the Nero 7. Actually, physically looks the same, because presumably Jekod allegedly have ripped them off, so they don't have to spend any money on R&D. But it's like 75 quid versus
really.
Yeah. So it's like, and you're supporting a company that basically steals IP allegedly. I'm not saying they do, you know. Some
but are you worried about that?
No, well, no, that's the
you're
thing.
worried about having £200 extra in your bank account to buy coral.
Exactly. So, you know, but I think more people will buy the Nero, but for 75 quid you can get something very similar.
How long ago did you start in the hobby? It was
8 years.
8 years ago. Okay.
Just
things have you must have noticed a considerable difference in those 8 years of price for things. Or were they the same as they are now?
No, for sure. A lot of just prices have gone mental.
Would you have got into the hobby?
We've had this conversation before. I don't know if I would, because I had a budget. I think I spent £2,000 in total on everything, setting up my first tank, a 3-foot tank. That was lights, live rock, power head. It was an MP10, skimmer, everything. £2,000.
See, I think my budget originally was this was obviously 15 years ago, was £1,000 for everything. That was what it cost to set up a marine tank back then. It was £1,000, and it was 400 liters. So that was sand, rock, everything was. And in the end, I got the tank for free, because I bought the tank with fish and sold the fish the next day for the same cost of the tank. But it was still like, I just wonder if I would be in the hobby now if I had known back then. Because we're now addicted. We're like reefers till we die. So that there's no going back.
No.
But I just wondered if I would have been like this if I had known now, if you see what I mean.
Yeah, I think if I'd started now, if I'd have known, I'm fine with that. I don't mind, because it's just such a cool hobby. But if I'd started now, it might be different. So my entire setup, everything, including my first fish, cost me £2,000 for a 3-foot tank. A Red Sea Reefer, a 3-foot tank at the moment, is 1,500 quid. So the tank alone is almost my entire budget for everything. So I still have to spend probably the same again, maybe even more. So I would have gone secondhand, maybe, but then I probably would have been reluctant to go secondhand. But there we go. So that is the reefing news. I didn't see any other reefing news so far, but that is it. And 52 weeks of reefing, I think, is the most significant thing there, because I'm looking forward to that. There we go.
Me too. Sounds good.
Yeah, indeed. And now, so ordinarily, there's going to be another feature here at this point, which we're not going to do this week, but we will do next week. Shall I tell them what it's called?
What's the name of that feature, out of interest?
So it's going to be where we discuss something that we disagree on, and it's going to be
almost like a debate, you would say.
It is, and it's going to be called the mass debate.
Nice. Nice. I didn't come up with that. That name.
That's how mature I am.
Trust me, I don't think people want us to be having a mass debate.
I think people do. I think people want to see that. So
I'm not so sure.
Focus.
I'm not so sure.
But yeah, so we'll have a mass debate next week.
Oh, good.
But for now, we're gonna move on instead, and we're gonna do questions from the chat.
Have you got a theme tune for that section, or that comes later?
Not yet. But no, I was gonna make a noise, but I'm not gonna.
Please don't make a noise. You'll get demonetized.
Anyway, we'll move on quickly, because this has gone in the toilet, and that's not why I meant it. So instead of the mass debate, which we'll do, that's mass debate, by the way, for the purposes of the subtitles that YouTube's putting. We will we're gonna do the questions. So I'm gonna pull out 5 questions, basically.
Yeah, sounds good.
Right, and annoyingly, I can't see the top question. So the first person who asked a question, sorry, mate, I can't see it. It's hidden
so harsh.
by the banner. I know, but it's hidden. So which is a shame. But I'm gonna pull out. So that there's a few like admin questions. Will Prestige Reef ship to Germany? And I know you can't because Brexit. Someone asked about Holland earlier. Same story. We can't buy. I used to buy. I bought a couple of corals from Eurocorals in Germany. I can't do that anymore, unfortunately. which is
I
a
wonder
real
if that will change, because something's changed with Brexit recently in Ireland and things like that, and I just wonder if that will change, but I don't know.
So yeah, maybe there'll be a trade deal. I don't know. Who knows? I mean, I'd like there to be a trade deal with America because I'd like to buy American stuff.
Corals are probably not high up on the priority of trade deals with.
Very true.
Corals really are
yeah.
only. You only get trade deals with corals on countries where you get them from the wild, usually, as far as I know. Although that might be wrong. So I can't imagine that's high up on the priority list when there's things like pork and stuff they need to get through first.
There'll be a million things. If it does happen, it'll be tacked onto the back of something important, like beef imports, like you say, or whatever. All right. So first question then. And I'm going to select that, so you should be able to see it on the screen now. And this is from I Can't Think, who says,
I can't see it, so I don't know if other people
no,
can
I can read it. Yeah, they can. It's fine. You need to see it on YouTube. What are your coral plans for the angelfish tank? And the reason I'm posting this one up, are you trying to avoid certain corals like fleshy LPS or trying a bit of everything? So this is basically coral tactics. What corals do you think the angels will and won't eat?
Okay, so I am totally 100% winging this. There are corals which I assume will be more likely to be eaten than others. I think the highest risk ones will be the LPS. So like the fleshy things, Trachyphilias, Scollies, acans are like candy for fish, even just normal fish like acans. The things like regal tangs will eat acans sometimes. So I will never put an acan in here because I know that they won't. And when I say acan, I mean Micromusa. So
yeah. Micromusa lordountis.
Yes, but I think the middle section I'd like to have Millipora, which I'm hoping will be fine, and I assume that SPS corals, most of them will be fine. Although I have seen angelfish in a tank at the zoo in London Aquarium, and it was a Pomacanthus angel, and it was eating Montipora. So there's no guarantee that if an angelfish is eating Montipora, then basically everything's fair game. What is really interesting though, I put a few different corals with the king eye, and it's not touching them. It's in with zoas, it's in with green star pots. I know these aren't exciting corals, but it gives me hope because you would think it would eat the soft ones. It's in with clove polyps at the moment. It's in with xenia. So it sounds like a real fun tank, doesn't it? But it's in with mushrooms and things like that. So it's not going to be a completely empty tank, let's put it that way, based on just the king eye. What I will say, though, is I know the majestic I had once before ate mushrooms. So there's a good chance that one will eat mushrooms. So just because the king eye doesn't eat it doesn't mean the majestic won't.
Yeah.
So
you're basically you're winging it.
Yeah, I'm just gonna. I've got like hundreds of candy canes. I will put a sacrificial candy cane in there to see if it eats it, and if it does, I grew it myself. Yeah, it's not too bad. I'm not going to be putting in my one of a kind half and half trackie. Let's put it that way.
No. So this is going to be a good one to watch because this is kind of live experience of how bad this is going to go, or what corals angels will eat and won't eat.
You don't know, and I don't know, and no one who's watching this knows what will happen. So and that's why it's fun, because each week you're going to be watching it, and you'll be going, I hope they eat that, so they punish him.
Teach you a lesson.
But we'll see.
All right, second question. This is from Woody's Gamer Tag.
Yeah.
And he asks, he's moving from a 25 gallon to 150 gallon. Can I reuse the sand to speed up the diversity again, aging in the new tank? No, do not do it at all.
I was wondering what you'd say.
This is, and I think I've put that one up because I think it's a really common question, because people upgrade tanks all the time. You want to transfer across when you're moving from a small tank to a big tank as much of the water as you can, all of the live rock if you can do, but the only thing you don't want to move over at all is the sand. Just don't do it, because you'll stir it all up and there'll be a load of crap in there, and you'll get an ammonia spike. And so it's just not possible. Just don't do it. And that's the one thing you should do, is have new sand. And the bad side of that is that new sand will have silicates in it. So
I was
you'll
going
get
to say, yeah.
So you'll get a diatom bloom. But
so you've got a whole different problem.
But a diatom bloom's no big. It'll burn off. That's the bottom of the food chain, basically. So that's fine. And that's the worst. That's the worst of it. But just don't, whatever you do not use reuse the sand.
Yeah.
And the third question, there are two other questions that I really like the look of as well. This one is the first one. Let me just mark that one as done. And the third one is, are Goniopora aggressive? I just ordered one for my mixed aquarium, a dual Trigon 190. Yeah, that's it. Are they aggressive?
I'm interested to see what you think, firstly.
So I have a few gunnies, and I separate them from other corals, because by reputation they are aggressive.
Yeah.
And so my gunnies are next to Bernard poras and other gunnies, and actually so far the Bernards haven't killed the gunnies, which I'm expecting might happen. But I would separate all gunnies from everything else.
Yeah.
But I don't know actually how bad they are.
They will kill all the other corals that I put. So they're in with Sophastриas, they're in with Samacoras. The Bernardoporas also are near a few like SPS corals. Bernardoporas are known for being stingy. They grow really fast as well. So if you get one, I've got a few on the website, but if you get one, they isolate it, because it will grow quick. And although they start off with short polyps, there's usually this one random one, which is like 4 times the length of the other ones, roaming around trying to sting things. But it's nothing like a Galaxia. Galaxias are absolutely lethal. But Gonnies, I was interested. What I found interesting was they even sting Alveopora. So just because they look similar doesn't mean they're safe, if you see what I mean.
Yeah, the closest I've had to that, I had a hammer coral next to an SPS coral, and it was fine for ages, but then it started to sting it, and it just killed it. There was a dead part of skeleton. It couldn't get past that, so the rest of the SPS was fine. But go on.
I don't know what a Gonny would be like against a torch or a hammer, because I assume the torch or hammer would win.
I reckon the torch would. I don't know about the hammer.
Yeah. Should we try it tonight?
yeah, you try it with one of yours.
Yeah. Who wants to buy one torch and one Gonny for this experiment? But I don't know. With torches are a pain in the ass as well in terms of stinging stuff. So, indeed.
All right, so there you go. And the fourth question, 2 more, and I really like this question because I've thought about it in the past as well. Danny Wood says, can you strategically place LPS to stop soft corals from spreading? And you could say soft corals or SPS, any coral spreading. I've thought about doing that in the past, but the reality is it's very difficult. I think you can do, but so if it was on a rock, you'd have to get the LPS to surround the soft coral. And if it's something like Zoa or clove polyps, they will just, if they can't get past it, they'll just detach and float off somewhere. Exactly. So soft corals, you might struggle. SPS, maybe. And I've got a John Deere Leptostraya, which is not especially aggressive, but it's grown, it's massive, it's based out loads, and it's grown out next to a Sunset Monty. And they have both now met, and they're doing battle to see which one wins. It's pretty much even at the moment. So
that's interesting, because my money would have been on the John Deere.
Oh, really? Yeah. So that's what I would have said, that exactly same thing, but it's not doing anything. And I've got a few corals in my tank where they're doing exactly that, and there's no winner, which means that John Deere is stopping the Monty from spreading, which is a good thing. And for example, go on.
Is there like a white line between the two of them with like no man's land where nothing grows?
There is on some, like I've got a Sophastria that gets that, but no, not with. I don't think there is. I'll have to have a closer look. But do you reckon, could you do that strategically? I think that feels like.
I think you could stop SPS from growing. I don't think you could stop soft corals. I think you basically got no chance of stopping some soft corals from growing. And you're right, they detach. Whereas SPS, I think, is definitely an easier choice, but it's not going to be the easiest thing to do, because you're right, you're going to have to like surround it somehow, and then you're going to have this weird LPS line.
Yeah.
And the
then
other
the problem
thing,
will be the LPS takes over, and you'll wish that
there is
wasn't.
that. But if you're thinking of something along the lines of a torch, for example, like protecting a stopping a Montipora from growing, what usually happens is you just get patches of the torch of the Montipora that die. It's not like a straight line like with a Leptastria. It makes a really ugly battleground basically when you put a hammer or a frog spawn or a torch near them. And sometimes it gets through and grows up the side of the torch.
Yeah.
So,
it's trying to control nature like that with that much fine tuning.
Yeah,
it's not meant to be.
but
I like the idea.
It's as far as I'm concerned, if there's something you don't want to get out of control, isolated to something separate,
Don't put it in your tank.
Yeah, well, yeah, there is that. Yeah,
because I've thought about doing. Go on.
I was gonna say I tell people not to buy. I have arguments with people sometimes when they come to the coral farm about Xenia. If their tank is a bigger than a nano, my rule is I will not sell it to you. It's as simple as that. If people buy it through the website, that's up to them. But I will not ruin. Do you remember? Jamie, Jamie, who has that massive tank where you can like scuba dive, not scuba dive, but you have to get in a wetsuit in. When he first came to the coral farm, he was like, "I really want Xenia," and I'm like, "I am not giving you Xenia."
I'm glad you told him actually. So I was, when you were saying like anything above a nano is not happening, I was like, "Oh, that's a bit it's a bit Third Reich." But actually, if it's like a tank like Jamie's, I'm with you. I
will not ruin people's tanks, and if sometimes people get annoyed, but I'm like, trust me, if you can go buy it from somewhere else. But I don't need your like £14 or whatever it is. I'd rather you just came back and bought better corals.
Yeah. Oh wow, look at that, Ryan! Not letting people make their own decisions.
Well, I'm stopping people from making mistakes. The same mistakes.
I'll just buy it online and just be like, yeah, bollocks to you.
Well, if they want to do that, they can do that. But that's up to them.
Yeah.
Do you know what's interesting about Xenia? It doesn't travel very well. So buying it. Yeah, when it actually gets shipped from other countries, it has a very, very low survival rate. But in our tanks, it like lives in a bloody toilet.
But that is funny, Xenia, because there are some tanks it will go like crazy in, and you just can't stop it, no matter how bad your water quality is. And other tanks, whether it's high nutrients, low nutrients, whatever, it just won't grow. It's one of those weird corals that it is easy because it grows so quick, but some people just can't grow it.
Yeah.
So
those are lucky people.
Yeah, exactly. And the final question that I'm going to pin up in that case is from D1 Purge. And he asks, what is the best pH test kit? I used a Salifert one and got 3 very different results on the same day. There are a few reasons that this is a good question. You're smirking because of the second part, I think. So So why are you smirking?
Well, your pH changes throughout the day.
Yeah.
For most people, it changes throughout the day.
Oh well, yeah.
You can limit the swing by doing certain things.
It's not. It doesn't change much in my Fluval Evo, to be fair. But yeah.
But why, Mike? Look, I might get in trouble now. Why are you testing your pH anyway?
That's what I was going to say. That's why I posted it.
Because I haven't tested the pH on the coral farm or the thing, even with the pH probe. So technically, I have tested it. They lose calibration after a period of time. So
yeah.
Sorry.
Go on. I finish.
Yeah. If you have within reason, a higher pH makes coral grow faster. But the reality is most people just want to keep a coral alive. And if you're just keeping a coral alive, your pH doesn't really matter that much. There'll be someone with a pitchfork in the chat. Come on, bring it on.
No, but you're absolutely right. And I thought you might think I was all pH-y and like a pH Nazi, but no. I completely agree. So I do monitor pH on one of my tanks, and I have monitored on 2 of the 3 at some point, but I've stopped now. On the Fluval Evo, I'm dosing Calquassa. I'm not monitoring pH. I've never tested it. I've got no idea what it is. I don't care. It's not going to be too high, and with Calquassa, it probably won't be too low. And the thing with pH, I've had tanks where pH has sucked for years, and yet everything is still fine. Yeah. So it's not, and the trouble with it is, so pH is of course important. I'm not saying it's not, and I've noticed significant improvements in my main tank since I dosed Calquassa and since my pH went up significantly. But it's another thing that you can obsess about, and I just think it's better just to look at it and think, you know what, if you want to get your pH up, just dose calcrusser and don't worry about it. It's not going to ruin your tank. It's not going to be too high, or it'll be fine. But just don't obsess about it. There are plenty of people who have good tanks without worrying about pH. And it's the sort of thing that you can think, because people also think of pH as this silver bullet that's going to fix all of my problems, or that's the one thing I need to get right. It's not. You can't make if you had like the best flour in the world and you put in shitty chocolate, you're going to come up with a bad chocolate cake.
Okay,
no, I understand. And pH is the same. If your pH is amazing, but the rest of your water quality is rubbish, it's not going to be great. So I wouldn't bother for the most part. And to be fair, the other part to this question, to actually answer it, he's looking for manual test kits. I did go looking for manual test kits to see if I could recommend one to people who don't want to buy a pH probe, because they are expensive. And I couldn't really find any that are recommended. But so a pH probe is probably the way to go. You can get pH pens. I don't know, like relatively cheap. I don't know how accurate they are, but you can calibrate them. If you can get a pH pen that is calibratable, then you can test it, and you can get calibration solutions, and then you can test it, so you will know if it's accurate or not. So
it all sounds very complicated for a parameter that you don't need to test.
It is. It is not that pH isn't important, but I agree. I think it's overcomplicating things, and we love to do that in this hobby. I don't think it's necessary. So there you go.
There you go. Just rather than test pH, just test your alkalinity one extra time a week, and you're far more likely to have significant success over the long term than by auto testing pH, as far as I'm concerned.
Indeed. So there you go. So those are the questions answered. And I'm sorry to those of you who didn't get to. I think 5 is the sweet spot, because otherwise we're going to spend hours answering questions. So
because you at the start of this, you said that you thought this would only last an hour, but we're over an hour already, and we haven't even got into the last bit.
If this lasts 2 hours, I'm totally cool with it. I like the idea of it being around an hour and a half, but whatever, that's fine. I've got no time limit on it. And just one last question from Les. Did Ryan do a nipple reveal whilst I wasn't here? Did you? I didn't see it. I was looking away. You did?
No, I know I did it. Stop lying. I did it to you in the half an hour before we talk.
That was when we were having the mass debate, wasn't it?
Yeah. Oh God.
Okay, I remember now.
Well, I'm not even sure what to say to that. So
Ryan is speechless.
I was going to say it's very rare that I'm speechless.
But the trouble is, if I say something like that, the only response you've got is to escalate and make it worse. So
yes, true.
I admire your restraint.
Yeah.
All right. So there we go. Next feature, and there's a few now of the week. So what we're going to do now, you and I are going to. So there's going to be there's a fish of the week, a coral of the week, a product of the week, and there'll be a tank of the week. And the idea of this is, we're going to show one thing of each that we think is cool, and you might know what it is, you might not have seen it before, and it's just something to talk about and say what we think about them. And then we're going to do a poll to see which is best, because why not? And yes, I have been watching 44 Teeth. I've stolen the idea of the mass debate from the 44 Teeth news show, and
it's all coming out now.
There's no such thing as a new idea, Ryan.
Well, definitely not when it comes to your channel.
No, exactly. This is very true. So anyway, first off is fish of the week then. Ryan, what's your fish of the week you want to talk about?
Well, remember, I only got my homework for this new format very, very I got it at 11 o'clock this morning, and then I ignored that message all day until 20 minutes before the stream, and I went, what are we doing? So I have decided to unimaginatively, is that a word? Go with a blue-faced angelfish, and that's obviously because I've just got one, and I have been surprised by it, basically. So I don't know if you want to pull a picture up of one. They come in two different colors. Oh, that's good. There you go. The juveniles are obviously similar to the emperors and the Korans. They actually look almost like a Koran angel juvenile. And the reason I've been surprised by them is because although it's the bigger one of my two angelfish, it is incredibly timid. It hangs in and out of the rockwork all the time. So whereas the Majestic's out swimming around, it's probably a third smaller than the blue face. I've just found their interaction is really interesting.
Yeah,
And you can tell when the Majestic sees the blue face, because all of a sudden it turns and it makes itself really big. And then the blue face looks at it and goes, I'm not coming out. I'm not coming out. Yeah. So they not once, when you put a tang in, you will, or anything, any new fish in.
Yeah.
And one of the fish will chase it relentlessly. Not once have I ever seen, and it's been 3 days now, seen either of these two fish touch each other. Probably could have used different words. But I mean like physically actually bite each other, if you see what I mean.
Yeah.
They did a little bit when they were in the acclimation box, so I put them together. But after that, not once have I seen them. And it's surprisingly how little they actually even come in contact with each other. So they sort of like one's in the rock, the other one's out the rock, and then the other one's in, the other one's swimming around. So but,
the one thing I want to say here is I want to give you credit for your aquascape, because you've got a lot of stick on Instagram for people saying that aquascape is rubbish. But I talked to you about it when you set it up, and you deliberately made it with specific places, and you were pointing out to me the places that different kinds of angelfish you think will hide. And that's exactly how it worked out.
Yes, and maybe I didn't portray that in one of my videos, but it's been so cool because the big central rock in the middle, but like that's where they sometimes hang out under there. I can see them the most. But angelfish they live even in the wild, they live in amongst rockwork. So that's why I did it. Wink, wink. I'll just pretend. Yeah. But I've watched that tank for hours over the last couple of days. Oh, don't show that rubbish aquascape.
Look at that. What's that on the right hand side?
Well,
and that one over there.
Yeah. But you see all the shelves. So although you can't see it because it's a 2D picture, there's a lot of shelves and caves. And on the very right, you see the cave at the bottom? That's where the blue face lives. So it literally lives in there. But it's,
and then this gets a lot of love from, they hide under there as well in the middle.
They do. People say it looked like a crashed Millennium Falcon.
That's a really good point. It was exactly
I know.
Like that.
Every time I see it now, that's all I can think of. But
I love that. That's so good.
On Tuesday, the sand turns up. So I am very excited to finally have sand, because I hate, like, I love a bare bottom, in real life. Yeah. But or even a picture of a bare bottom. But when it comes to our tanks, people with bare bottom tanks, what is wrong with you? You've got something wrong with you. Bring it on, chat. You don't have a bare bottom tank?
I do. I've got my water box, my LPS.
Oh, is it?
Although I set it up as a frag tank, so I didn't want sand, but now it's a display tank. I could put sand in, I'm not kidding.
It's just no. So, well, when I said people with a bare bottom tank, what's wrong with you? And you said you've got one.
There you go.
Point proven.
And you said earlier there was a guy called Charles in the chat who you thought he was the one who gave you rock. And he says, that's my best bit of cock rock.
Yeah, see? So
and there is a phallic shape in your tank. I mean, I'm not going to say anything about that. Maybe it was just a coincidence, but
I've said thank you to Charles before, like privately, but like Charles did something which is very unusual for people to do. What?
Is this going to be sexual?
No, no. Yeah, I got the rock in return for something else. No, like Charles gained nothing from giving me the rock. He didn't want any money for it. And even so I have some rock left over, which I said to someone the other day, just take some of it if you want, because it's passing on that kindness, basically. Yeah. I didn't need any more. But it's very unusual for someone these days to do something for literally no reason. And I did at the time saying, how much do you want for it? And he just said, I don't want anything. So if more people could be like that and send me free stuff,
exactly.
There was a time in this hobby, and this was probably before both mine and your time, really, where the original pioneers, really helped each other out.
Yeah.
And people used to trade frags, and it's different for me now because obviously I'm a shop, but I sell.
Yeah, give me free stuff, Ryan.
Yeah. But people used to, and I did this, people used to trade frags with people, and it doesn't happen so much anymore, and I'm not sure why. I think it's because the value of coral is so much more these days,
and the hobby's so expensive.
Yeah, so they're trying to get a little bit of their money back. But as I said, it was a big deal for me. So
I've done that a few times with some people. I've swapped corals in particular.
Yeah.
But yeah, it doesn't happen much. The bank, isn't it? The coral bank.
I give corals away free all the time. Literally, like I know you might think I'm just saying this for whatever reason,
Yeah,
but
it's sales, isn't it? We can see through it.
no, if I've got a coral which I've got, say I've got like 50 pieces of something, there's no benefit for me keeping it, because if I'm got 50 pieces of it, I'm not selling it fast enough, and I can give someone an experience where they go, wow, I didn't expect to get this lovely piece of xenia.
It's going to ruin my
No,
tank.
I've never sent xenia, but a good example, I've got a load of Mystic Sunset. It's starting to grow onto the rack. I don't want to keep it. So people were buying corals recently. Some of them have got, not everyone, but some of them have got pieces of Mystic Sunset. So it helps me out. It's nice for them to experience, and then they come back and buy more.
So I would do that more. I've got loads of corals in my tank that I don't really want, and I would be happy to give away for free.
Nice, I'll take them.
You can, you're welcome to them. But the problem is, it's a pain in the backside. And actually, there's so on Ultimate Reef, the forum, there's a free to good home section, but sometimes it's very difficult to give stuff away. I gave away a 200 quid light once because I got millions of them lying around the house.
Yeah.
And
look at you, cha-ching.
I know. Well, I was given it, so I was like, I felt like I shouldn't profit from it, so I gave it away. And I got messed around, and it's like, and it was for a good reason. So if it's you watching who let me down,
you are a bastard.
No, it's totally cool. But it's just that happens, and it's like becomes a hassle.
Yeah.
And so it's just like so it's too much effort sometimes. But if local groups are good for that, but
in the chat, there you go, proof. Someone has just said I was very pleased with my Mystic Sunset surprise. So if people think I just make this up, they like.
Yikes, and that sounds wrong.
And even like when I do the mystery boxes, I am very conscious that I want people to be happy with what they're getting. So they'll usually get something quite special. But I don't want to turn this into a sales thing. It was just it was more about like how people used to do things, if you see what I mean, for each other.
Exactly. Yeah, completely agree. And actually, Susanna, I think you asked earlier, I think I saw a question. You were asking how my Regal Angel's doing. He still hasn't touched any corals, so he's doing well.
Well, if you could get your Regal to talk to my angels, that would be ideal.
No, I don't want him to get the wrong idea, because he'll be like, guys, don't eat corals, and they'll be like, are you kidding? They're delicious. And he'll be like, are they?
Yeah. Another one. Someone else got a Pavona. Yeah, there you go. See. You're going all these free corals Ryan's dishing out.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so that's your fish, Blue Flags Angel.
Yeah.
My fish of the week is Bosch Mystery Wrasse.
Good choice.
And the reason I'm putting it up, there's two reasons I'm putting this guy up. One, I've been playing around with the sliders on my new lights, of course, because that's what I do with 90% of my spare time.
Yeah.
And I was playing around with I don't normally have red or green sliders on. I just have them off, because I find you get a little bit of disco ball if you have them on.
Yeah.
Although it's not too bad, but if you look as closely as I do, you see it. But I messed around. I tried turning the red up. It made my tank look a little bit funny, so I didn't really like it. But my scarlet hawkfish and my so anything that was red or pink in my tank, fish wise, looked amazing. And the Mystery Wrasse went from looking cool to looking incredible. It looks so awesome, a lot like this photo. So if you've got red lights and you've got a Mystery Wrasse, turn them up. That's the number one reason.
Just temporarily.
Yeah, exactly.
Because everything else looks shit.
Yeah, and I'm just posting the poll to see which is best. This is a weird poll. Angel fishing at a wrasse, but anyway, why not?
Because you've got a mystery. Obviously, you've got one. You're just talking about you had one. Is it aggressive? Because it's from the same family as a 6-line.
Yeah, the pseudo whatever it is. Yeah, no, so it's not at all. Supposedly they can get aggressive, but this one's been fine.
Yeah,
but then they don't have the same reputation as a 6-line. I don't think.
I think because Jamie's got one. I think his one is.
Yeah, okay.
I think.
So it's one that I might have to watch out for, but he's fine at the moment. The other reason I wanted to mention him was because I lifted a frag out of my tank this morning and moved it to a different spot because I wanted it in more light. And when I do that, so often there'll be a bristleworm that'll pop out.
Yeah.
And they just float off, and all the fish come over, and they're like, "Oh shit, no, I don't want to touch that."
Yeah.
But the Mystery Wrasse came over and started pecking at it, and I was like, "No, don't! You're gonna!" And he ate it, swallowed it whole.
Yeah.
And he shows no ill effects.
It's interesting.
So Mystery Wrasse eat, my one, a bristleworm.
I think, this was never mentioned in a video. I think because I forgot about it. But my king eye ate a bristleworm. Do you remember?
Yeah,
And
he got stuck. Yeah.
it was like day 2 of owning this lovely fish, and all around its face were all these bristleworm like spines, and I was like,
Yeah.
oh, for God's sake, why have you done this? Of all
Yeah.
the things that
Yeah.
like sometimes they die just randomly, or they'll jump out, or
Yeah.
whatever. Why was it a bristleworm? The thing you would never think of.
Huh?
So then obviously when that died, I got another one secretly without telling anyone, so that they never knew.
Yeah, exactly.
That didn't happen. Just everyone
Drop
knows.
another few £1,000s.
Yeah.
But yeah, people often. I don't want to get rid of bristleworms in my tank. They are welcome to stay. They're good cleanup crew as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
But people often ask about what fish eat bristleworms.
Yeah.
And turns out that one does. Although that's the first time I've seen him do it, and he's been in the tank for 6 months. But
yeah.
And actually, the poll is 50-50.
Is it?
Literally 50-50.
It's interesting.
So
they're both,
I mean,
they're both pretty cool fish.
They're both, yeah, they are both. They're just totally different. So it's like a weird poll to run.
Yeah.
But, yeah. And I'm going to end it because it's changed from 50-50. It's
to 51% you.
No, unfortunately, it's changed to 53% you.
Oh, nice.
But I wanted to end it because we need to move on. So
yeah.
But there we go. So that was a fish of the week.
Do you ever get tired of losing these polls just out of interest? It's like it would feel normal if you won one of them.
I've won 2 polls, Ryan. So you know.
Well, just
and they were the best ones. All the other ones are rubbish.
I love how my ego is so fragile that just winning these polls is like a big deal for me.
I win at everything in life. So
That's
this
true.
is, you know,
yeah, you win like growing hair, for example. We don't mention that, do we? No, we don't mention that anymore. So.
I'm more trying to get my camera to focus.
I know, I saw that. I was like, is he crying or is he trying to get his camera to
I was looking at anyway. But yeah, so there we go. So that's fish of the week.
Yeah.
Coral of the week, and I'm going to go first with this one.
Okay.
And the reason I'm posting the reason I've chosen this one, it's a in fact, you know what, I'm going to get the picture up first.
You'll win this. Whatever you put up, you'll win it.
Okay, interesting.
Because you already know mine.
The one I've got is this is a Gold Rush Monty. And this is, for a start, these are just awesome corals. They're just, the colors are incredible. They look beautiful. And there are a lot of encrusting Monties that look all right, but this is just like the king of them. But I've had this frag for probably 4 years.
Yeah. Maybe
3 years, but certain of that kind of level. And it has almost died on half a dozen occasions.
Really?
And I bought it. That's only the size of a golf ball.
Yeah.
And I've fragged it a couple of times, but it's basically almost died back and it's stripped and it doesn't like high light and all this. And it's finally settled and it's recovering and it's looking good for the first time since I bought it. Since I paid 150 quid for it as well.
Yeah, when they were really expensive, weren't they?
Yeah.
I remember those.
They're a bit more common now, but it's just such a nice coral and it's starting to look sweet.
Yeah, I agree. Of all the encrusting Monties that I have and grow, that's one of the most popular ones. In fact, it's out of stock because I've got literally one piece left, and it's slower growing than some of the other Monties as well.
Mentally slow.
Yeah, I'm not sure why it's so slow compared to the other ones. Well, I suppose it's the same as anything. What different corals are like literally different, aren't they? So
yeah, exactly.
We should expect this.
So that's my coral of the week. What would you like to pick?
I've gone for a very similar one, and I think that if you put a fair picture up, and don't put the picture up on my website because that's a shit picture, of a burning banana Stylocinella is what I was going to go for.
Stylocinella.
Oh, so, yeah, I see.
I found a picture.
Is it my one?
It's the picture. It's the funniest. The funny thing is, it is a photo of yours. I'm just going to bring up a load of photos of it.
Yeah, don't show my one because my one's rubbish. But they're like, it's like a really, really bright yellow. I think that's second picture. That's a second picture.
Photo, that one.
That second picture is the best.
Bloody hell, that is overexposed.
That's
a crazy picture.
Yeah, it is. It is really, really bright yellow coral with red polyps, and there's not that many other corals which are a similar color of that yellow. So
I've just realized I can do this properly because I took a video using the same camera as I used for the Gold Rush Monty at your farm.
Oh yeah, true.
So that's what it actually looks like.
That's what mine was look like, but I want a better picture than that.
Actually, that looks quite, those polyps look orange to me. Yours look a lot more red.
Yeah. Well, you're using an orange filter, weren't you, I think?
Nonetheless, that shouldn't filter out the red. But anyway,
Oh.
but basically, so let's put these next to each other, shall we? Was it this one? No, hang on.
That one, yeah.
No. But there we go. So I'm going to post that now. And the question is: a burning banana stylo Ciniella, which is a stupid name. They need to make that easier to say.
Well, it's
or
just
a
a
gold
burning
rush
banana stylo, but it confuses people with a milker stylo.
Stylophora, yeah, exactly. Stylophora.
It's it's like a metallic yellow. Yeah, it's like a real bright metal. You know, like jack-o'-lanterns have that metallic orange. It's similar to that, but with the yellow and then the red polyps. But I understand. I'm assuming you're going to win this one because I think the Montipore will be more popular.
I'm not. I'm losing.
Are you?
Because me.
Well, all of you people out there that want this, I've got loads of it. Come buy some. And if you buy other coral, you might get a free one.
But so I think I buy some of the best corals from you when I go and see you.
Oh, thanks.
And Stylo Ciniella is one of the ones I was like, I want that.
you bought it, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, but how did it do in your tank?
It's doing okay. It doesn't look as bright as I've put it in a lower light spot.
Yeah.
Which might be why. So if it had more light, maybe it would look a bit brighter.
Yeah.
But it's doing fine and it's basing out. It just doesn't look quite as spectacular.
It grows so fast in my tank, like so fast, unbelievably fast for some reason. But it's in lower light. It's not in super high light.
Yeah. Okay. Well, there you go. No, mine's in relatively low light, I think. And so the poll, it won 70% Stylo Ciniella, 30% Gold Rush Monty.
I'm amazed because I when yours one came up, I was like, I'm not going to win this because I wasn't even sure people knew what a Stylo Ciniella is.
Yeah, I prefer the Gold Rush as well, but hey, never mind. Anyway, and the final thing is product of the week, and there's something I need to say first because if like YouTubers doing product of the week could sound like we're just trying to be corporate shills. This is not going to be like, I'm not going to be like, oh, the very latest AI Nero or the latest light or whatever.
Unless a company wants to sponsor us, you know.
Correct. Well, so
we can be bought. We absolutely can be bought.
Two things. If there is something that is really genuinely awesome, then it's getting on. This is basically stuff we want to show you. So it doesn't matter if it's something expensive and awesome or cheap and awesome.
Yeah.
But then secondly, I would be up for this section being sponsored if it was something, if a company sends in, if you want to do that, contact me and I'll tell you what the rules are, the requirements are. But one of the requirements are you'd have to give away one of these, one of the things that we're talking about
to us.
To someone in the chat. So you'd have to do it as a giveaway, and it would have to be of a minimum value of £100.
Oh yeah.
But send me a message if that's you, if you're a shop or a manufacturer, thereefdork@hotmail.com. But that's not really the point. That may or may not happen. I'm not bothered either way. The point of this is every now and then there's some cool stuff. It doesn't have to be a big thing like a skimmer or an aquarium controller.
Yeah.
It's like it could be a food or an algae clip or something that's like, this is wicked. I love it and people need to know about it.
I disagree with your £100 thing as well. Because I think both of our things that we're going to talk about are less than £100.
Correct, but that's the point. So this can be something that costs us £5. But what I'm saying is, if someone wants to sponsor it, there has to be a minimum value.
Oh, okay, yeah. Well, it doesn't matter to me. I don't care anyway.
I just because if there's something being given away, I don't want to be someone to get a £5 free thing. It's just it's not worth the effort. And I don't. And if there was no minimum value for the sponsor stuff, I'd get flooded with stuff, and I don't want that. So anyway, so the point of this really, after all that, is just cool stuff that we use all the time, or that is really useful, or that we get asked about all the time.
Yeah,
that is useful to share. So Ryan, what have you got for us?
I have gone for a red starfish acclimation box. And the reason I've gone for this, I've only actually just bought one. I was always using a fish trap previously, which would just sit in the bottom of the tank. This acclimation box actually hangs on the side of the tank. It comes with... Pardon?
You've got it there. Do you want me to get a picture up?
I haven't got it. Well, it's currently there's a fish in it at the moment.
Okay.
So you might have to. I didn't know I was meant to bring it.
No, that's fine. No, I'll get it up as it were.
Yeah. But I was very impressed with the build quality of it. They're quite a lot of money sometimes, but the one that I got was for some reason half price.
20 quid. This is.
Yeah. No. Well, the one I got, the much bigger one, which is a foot long, and I paid, I think, £23 or something like that for it,
Okay.
when they're normally 60 or something. So go out and buy those at the moment, because it's like a bargain. But it has 3 compartments in it, so you can put multiple fish in it, or you can take the compartments out.
Okay.
Those are little. So yeah, that's the one I got. Those things on the front of it are actually little doors, so you can literally
so you can lift it up and let it out.
You can lift it up and let it out. And this is the perfect thing for either adding a fish, or if you want something like a copper band. This 23 or 25 pound thing will save so many copper bands if people buy them and use them. And it's not just any copper; it's any fish. It, like, you know what it's like. You put a new fish in, your existing fish attack it.
Especially if it's a tang or an aggressive wrasse, or
they are incredibly valuable, and people don't want to spend £20 or £30 or even £60 on something which is just basically a plastic box. But it will save so much hassle in the long run. So that's why when you said this, that was the first thing I came to my mind.
It's funny because I've got something very similar, but I'd not seen that before, and I don't buy many fish now, so it's probably not worth my while. But I would buy one of those.
They're literally brilliant, and they come in all different sizes. So you can even get ones for like smaller tanks for small fish.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
But this is a perfect example of what this feature is about. It's about something, because 20 quid or whatever, that's a no-brainer.
Yeah,
it's not expensive.
You
it's
think
really
it's
cool.
a no-brainer, but it's not. People would rather spend £20 on a coral than that.
Yeah, or a 6-pack of lager, or
yeah,
it's a fancy pack of lager if it's 20 quid. But you know,
you'll keep it forever. The fish trap I have, I bought it with a tank breakdown, like, I don't know, 10 years ago, and I still use it.
Yeah.
So just thought I'd get a fancy one.
Well, there you go. And so actually I came up with my idea a couple of days ago, so completely separate to yours, but it's very similar. It's a fish trap.
That's the fish trap I use.
Is it? Aquamedic? Yeah.
That's literally the one that I was keeping the copper bands in.
This is dirty and needs to clean, but these are fantastic, and it's basically the same thing, only you could use it to acclimate fish, I suppose, but that's not what I use it for. But the reason I love this, I don't use it very often, but if you've got a fish that goes rogue, like a harlequin tuskfish, for example, that starts eating your bloody jawfish,
or 3 angels,
exactly, that start eating all your corals,
or
it is a nightmare. Yeah, exactly. It's a nightmare, and it's so stressful. You want to get bullying other fish, eating corals, you want to get out immediately. Yeah, and you like chase it around with a net, forget it.
Yeah,
but getting a fish trap, and you just put the fish trap in there, it sits in your tank, and there's a little trap door there with there's a thing that you pull, so you've got a little string that you sit on your sofa, and as soon as it goes in, you put a bit of food in there, or a rock covered in algae or a coral. As soon as it goes in there, pull the thing, the door comes down, the fish is out, and you can take it back to your local fish shop, and everyone suddenly is happy again.
Yeah, the only negative side to them is that it's quite big, that one. You can get smaller ones which fit to the side of your tank with magnets.
Yeah, the Nios ones. Yeah.
Oh, that's actually quite a cool one where you pull it and it flips up, doesn't it? I've always wanted to use one of those. I wonder if they work.
That's the thing. There were a load of videos when that came out on Facebook of it working.
Yeah.
But the thing that I think might not work, or might be difficult about it, is you've got to go and put your hand on the tank and take the magnet off.
Yeah, you could use a string though and tie it around the magnet and pull it off.
Maybe, but that's a strong magnet. But the point is, if you go and push your hand next to a tank, right next to the tank where the fish is, it's going to shit itself and swim off.
Yeah, I also wonder, you know the advertising videos for it. I wonder if that fish had been fed in that thing over and over and over again.
Yeah, exactly. The marketing videos say,
you put something new in a tank that the fish doesn't recognize, and I can assure you, it's going nowhere near it at first.
Indeed, yeah, exactly right. And actually, and there are times when it takes a few days to catch fish, and I couldn't catch my coral tang, my whitetail coral tang.
Yeah.
But I've caught loads of fish with that, and it's just I had a Scarus koi parrotfish that was eating corals at spent 150 quid from Eurocorals corals, little frags. I needed to get him out, and I got him out with that.
They're meant to be reef safe.
I think he was probably scraping at the base to get to the algae underneath.
Yeah,
but I wasn't prepared to take that risk, so he had to come out.
Yeah.
I think if I'd have left him, he would have stopped, but I just wasn't prepared to take the risk. And when it's like that, it's like get him out. And there was a tuskfish as well that ate my jawfish. Which was that was nasty to see. And there so some and other fish that have been aggressive put a trap in, because I like to take a bit of a punt with fish that and adaptation eating filefish. I like to take a punt with fish that are reef safe with caution.
Yeah.
Because they're cool, but you know that it might go wrong, and the fish trap means you can do that.
Welcome to my life.
So much. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, yeah, this is your angelfish life. So there we go. And I'm going to end the poll. They're very similar things. You've won acclamation box 65%.
How? They're like the same thing.
But the thing I like about the acclamation box is I have thought about it, but I've not thought about that properly. Whereas I've thought about a fish trap for ages, and I've got one.
Yeah.
So I think that's a bit more of a novel. Like that's something that I think more people will be like, that's a bloody good idea.
Yeah. I've caught many fish in that fish trap. It's just one of those things you buy once and then it just hangs around. So
yeah.
The only problem, as I said, your one's quite big, so you need to have quite a lot of space to put it in the bottom of the tank.
Yeah.
If you got like low, if you tanks are really crammed sometimes. There's stuff all over the floor. You're not gonna get one of those in.
Well, that's got suction cups that stick to the side of the glass.
See, mine was secondhand, so it never had those.
But I prop it up with an algae magnet as well anyway. But you're right. But even then, they take up a lot of space. And if my tank's got the space, the negative space, but if you didn't have it, and the same with the fish trap.
The best thing to do with them is just put the box in and don't do anything on the first day. Just ignore it, and then
exactly.
come back a day or two later, and it's just part of the fish's environment. They'll be fine with it.
The thing is, so algae eaters go in them straight away because they're I see if there's anything algae to scrape off, and I'm doing like an algae eating nodding
dumb
head.
fish, basically.
Like my fox face goes in straight away. But the aptasia eating filefish I caught using that. He started eating one of my acans, and I just put the acan in there. And he was like, "Oh, wicked! I'll go and eat it up there."
Yeah, you're not getting a dwarf angel. That's the thing.
No, but even then, if it was eating a coral, there are some that are a bit too wily, a bit too clever. But
the coral beauty. A coral beauty took me weeks. I'm not joking. Every day, sitting there for hours with holding that little string.
Yeah, exactly. And you've got to sit there all evening as well.
Yes, I know. It was, and like sometimes it goes in, and then the fish gets out, and you're just like, or you pull it. Did yours ever get stuck where it's falling halfway?
The harlequin tuskfish did. He swam in, and I was like, ping, pulled it. Nothing happened, and he just gently swam back out. I was like, so you've got to set it up at the right angle.
Yes,
but it's like it's like exhilarating when it goes in eventually after a week. You're like, don't do it. Wait, go, bang. And the door shuts, and you're like, yes.
And then when you get it out so carefully. You're like, do not touch the door.
Don't. Yeah, exactly. But they're great. And then so with the tuskfish, I took him back to my local fish shop the next day, and I got store credit. So
that's good.
But there you go. So so there we go. And that is the end. That is the other feature that I'm thinking of doing is tank of the week, where I get you guys to send me a picture of a really cool tank you've got, and or a couple of tanks, and we put them up. I've not done that at the moment, and I'm trying to figure out how to do that logistically. I don't want to get it so you tag me on Instagram, because it'll get lost in the ether. So I might get an email for that. I'll figure that out though, and I'll come back to you. But for now, that's the new. This is because with what I wanted to do this partly because this new format, because the last few weeks we've been doing top 10 angelfish, top 10 tangs, and I like it, I enjoy it, but I feel like it's going a bit stale because it's the same thing over and over again, and I still
that's
do
what
enjoy
happens when you keep losing them. So
exactly. Well, I'm losing this and I'm enjoying this, but
yeah, it's true.
But yeah, so and with this we'll mix it up, and it'll be something different every week. So there we go. And we've now got to an hour and 38, and we've finished. Ryan, do you have anything else you want to talk about before we wrap up?
Not really. Madison's asked, they said they have an LPS tank. What dwarf angels do you recommend? The only thing I would suggest is a coral beauty or a flame angel. They're the only two that are, and they're not even guaranteed.
Get yourself a fish trap.
Yeah. I think the sales of those Red Sea starfish acclamation boxes there'll be this significant spike all of a sudden.
Yeah.
And the aquamatic fish trap as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, those are the only ones that I recommend. I was actually looking at a multicolor the other day because I kind of liked the idea of it, but when I asked the shop for it to be feeding, it wasn't feeding, so I thought, nope, not for me.
Interesting. So you might go back.
No, I've decided it was that would have been an impulse buy. I think I just
Okay, good.
how many angels can I throw in one day? Because what I've realized is you can't put loads of fish in, like loads. If I want it to be like if I want millipora and things, I don't want to be. It's got to be angelfish are really nutrient like waste producing fish.
Right.
So if I'm gonna have SBS in there, I'm gonna be changing the phosphate remover all the time.
You've already gone quite big, to be fair.
Yeah,
bigger than I thought you would.
well, look, you were the one who encouraged this.
I know, yeah. But
I was like,
didn't
oh
you
yeah,
do it?
I was like, oh yeah, I just want one angelfish. And you're like, only one? I thought you were doing loads.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
But the other ones, as I said, are relatively reef safe. The blue face is unlikely to be, but we shall see. We shall see.
Fair enough.
But yeah.
All right. Well, thank you, Ryan, for joining us, and thank you everybody for watching. We will be back next week with another Prestige Reef Dork show, new format.
Well,
see you then.
See you later.
Bye, guys.
Bye.